Okay, ladies and gents, it's time for the Gate City 53-man roster projection. And to be fully transparent, and I'm going to show you everything, guys. All right, one of the people I already projected on this roster, he got the axe yesterday. So I already got a -1 here to begin with. But I'm going to be forthcoming. I'm going to be honest about the whole thing. I'll give you my reasoning by why I see certain things, the way I see them. And listen, I'll be back tomorrow with a big group of other guys. Brunson, Joey Shakes, Philly 500, Reese, Mike. We're all going to talk about it. All right, y'all. Let's get it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Steven Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, y'all. We already know today's topic is the 53-man roster. So let me just lay out the scenarios, okay? And I'll try to put up a screenshot of this behind me so you guys can see what I wrote out in terms of the scenarios I was paying attention to and I was watching for this. The first thing that I had to consider when I was trying to make my 53-man roster projection is the injuries are complicating things for me. Because no matter what we think about, oh, there's only so many roster positions open, I do agree with that to an extent. But when opportunities open up, and that makes it harder to project the player's going to be there. It's harder to project the length of the, in the time frame of an injury. Unless they immediately move a guy to IR, like what happened to Dillard yesterday, it's really hard to project what they're thinking here. So there's some complications going on because of injuries. I see that problem at running back, right? Miles Sanders has missed a majority of camp. Boston Scott missed a lot of camp, right? There's complications there at running back because of this. Wide receiver, both Alshon and Rager being down, complicates things, right? I had to keep going back and forth with, do I keep 6 or 7 guys on the roster? Are they basically going to take a guy like Alshon, and are they going to keep him on the active roster? Are they going to put him on the PUP designation, injury reserve? I had to consider all this, guys, as I was making my roster. Offensive line. Man, Brandon Brooks going down, right? Andre Dillard going down, right? Lane Johnson has missed a lot of camp, guys. All this stuff, guys, all of this stuff has to be considered. And then going past the offensive side, look at the defensive side, right? Jannard Avery, what's the length of that injury, right? Derek Barnett hasn't been right this camp. These things are impacting the way I look at the roster. Defensive tackle, Javon Hargrave has basically missed all of camp. Safety, Will Parks went down. He's down for anywhere between probably 2 weeks to 6 weeks. I mean, I've seen people say, when they say 4 to 6 weeks, just know Will Parks is a guy who recovers quickly, and it probably won't be quite that long. But you know what? A hamstring, you never know, man. And you got to get a hamstring right, or else it'll linger. It'll keep happening. So all these injuries are completely complicating the situation, guys. Other things I'm considering, because of the injuries, do you go 4 running backs, okay? 7 receivers, 10 offensive linemen. What about a 6th defensive end? What about a 5th defensive tackle, okay? When you look at these injuries, and you look at how you're going to project the roster due to injuries, then what does that do to your special teams? These are the things I'm fighting with, guys. Special teams play. You got back of the roster, guys. Guess what they're going to need to do? They're going to need to play special teams. And by the way, guys, just to show you how crazy I can get with stuff, this is me tracking that Seattle game, looking at kickoff coverage, looking at punt coverage, looking at the field goal block unit, and then looking at the kickoff return unit. This was me tracking who was out there on the field, guys. This is the level of insanity I go to with some of this stuff, guys. Last, you got to look at the dynamic between the, safety position and the corner position. The versatility of the players, how they may or may not fit. Guys, it's a big thing to me. I don't expect to be... I expect to get 2 or 3 guys wrong this year, to be honest. I might even get more than 3 wrong this year, just because I think this year in particular, guys you would have taken chances on in the past, they might not work out. All right, y'all. After this conclusion here, what I will do for you guys is sometime before the end of the weekend or whatever, I'll either make a video talking about the practice squad or I'll try to predict it. I don't know if I can get a video out quick enough about the prediction of the practice squad, but if I can, I'll predict it. But if not, then I'll talk about the guys that are at it. All right, y'all. Without further ado, I'm going to run you through my 53-man roster. Y'all ready? we can laugh together what I got wrong. To begin with, quarterbacks. I see 3. All right? Wentz is clearly your starter. Sudfeld is your second. Jalen Hurts is your third. This is what I see the Eagles doing. I would have carried 2 personally if I was the Eagles. Okay? To me, you're just wasting space with Sudfeld. I like Sudfeld, but let's just be honest. You spent the second-round pick on Hurts. You're running yourself into a situation when it comes to activating players for game days. If you're supposedly taking a guy in the second round because he's more than a quarterback to you, are you going to activate 3 quarterbacks for games? Like this is the reason why I said this is crazy to me. You could have carried a 3rd quarterback on the practice squad, in my opinion. I don't think the Eagles are going to do that though, so I'm going to say 3 quarterbacks. Running backs. Well, lo and behold, I got something wrong already, guys. I said 4 running backs. I said we were going to have Sanders, Scott, Clement, and then I said Holyfield. Holyfield got cut. Look, it happens, man. I thought he was having a really good camp. I thought he was definitely going out there and showing up a little bit. I thought he was really, really good catching the ball in the backfield. Much better than I thought he would have because his pro day was a disaster at UGA that year. I mean, he was dropping balls all across the field. Physical runner, although he's a little bit of an uphill runner. Think Josh Adams type. But definitely looked good. I mean, they were using him in goal line situations. It looked like to me as if he looked like a guy they liked and they might add. I will say this, guys. Don't think these rosters are complete. The Eagles might bring in a 4th running back. You might go, the original 53-man might only have 3, but then, 2 days later, they might sign a veteran running back that gets released from another team. So, just keep that in mind, guys. All right, wide receivers. I said 6, although I know it's really 7, but give me a second. I'll explain why I'm viewing this the way I'm viewing it, guys, okay? So, I'll tell you exactly how I see this and why I'm thinking this. I'm saying that you're probably going to have guys like Djax, JJ, Greg Ward Jr., Jalen Reagor, John Hightower, Quez Watkins, okay? My gut instinct is that Alshon goes to the PUP list or they put him on that new designation for the IR, okay? I want to say they put a new designation on the IR. I don't know, guys. I think you can come back before week 8 now on the IR or something like that, guys. I have to look into it more, but I think Alshon is going to be moved either to the reserve PUP where he won't count against your roster and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks because then you got to designate him as a return or you got to designate him to the IR. So those are the 6 receivers I see. That's what I see going on with Alshon. Alshon could bash this whole situation and the Eagles might say he's ready by week 3 and then he doesn't go to the PUP. He doesn't go to IR. He's just the 7th guy and it messes up my numbers even though I think he's coming back at a certain point. But right now I got 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 receivers, okay? Count that in total, guys. You got 13 players. I got 2 tight ends, and I'm hesitant on this one. Ertz, Goddard, okay? The Noah Tagovailoa, however you say his name, guys, I fooled around with putting him on the roster. I came really close because Josh Perkins, I think, played a really pivotal role, and I was wondering if that might influence the Eagles. But my final thought process was that they know they could probably carry a 3rd tight end on the practice squad and bring them up if they need them. The problem being is one tight end goes down, it's going to knock you out of 12-man personnel in games. So I can see why some people might be projecting that 3rd tight end. I only went with 2, and I'm going to get to why I did that in a minute. Offensive line, I went 9. You guys might be doing the math now and saying, Steve, that's only 24 players. There's a reason why I did this, guys. Yes, 24 players. I went 9, so I said Matt Pryor, Isaac Suamalu, Jason Kelsey, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Prince Tega. I fooled around with putting Sua Opeta on the roster as a 10th O-lineman. The reason I didn't do it is number one, I'm not completely sold that the Eagles won't go in and, sign a veteran offensive lineman. I have a feeling we're going to go get somebody at some point. We're probably going to be scouring waiving wires, stuff like that. But I still feel like we're only going to carry 9 in the season, and we'll carry a couple of guys on the practice squad just in case. So I'm going to go 9 and say 24 offensive players because I think we're going to need the space due to the injuries on the defensive side of the ball and the question marks we have at safety and at essentially corner. We're going to need the extra roster space, in my opinion. So let's flip to the defensive side of the ball, and I'll give you my final listing here. Defensive end, all right, BG, Brandon Graham, right? Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, Vinny Curry, Joe Osman. I went Casey Toolhill, okay? I know that's a risk, and I know that might not work out that way. Sharif Miller might be either Osman or Toolhill. I know that. But I think those guys had better camps than Sharif, although I don't think Sharif had a bad camp. I said Avery's probably going to end up like being placed on an injury waiver, so they're going to cut him. He'll go through an injury waiver cut, like it's like a minor designation, and then he would fall back to the injured reserve following that cut. So I think that's what's going to happen with Avery. So I left Avery off as an injury waiver who will basically be added back to the roster if he clears. I don't think anyone's going to claim a guy that's clearly injured. So that's 6 defensive ends. 5 linebackers. I understand the argument for 6 linebackers, but just judging... The only reason I do think there's a possibility for 6 linebackers, guys, is because of special teams production. And Alex Singleton plays a very large role in your special teams play. But I'm going to go 5 here. I'm going to say Nate Gary, TJ Edwards, Duke Riley, Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor. Okay? Alex Singleton being left off. I think the young guys can kind of play a lot of the roles. I think they're going to play big roles on the special teams. So I only had 5. Safeties. I went 5 here, and this is somewhat due to injury and the need of someone on special teams. All right, I'll tell you how I got it structured, guys. I said Rodney McLeod, Jalen Mills, obviously Will Parks, Kevon Wallace, and then Marcus Epps. You could have made an argument for Rudy Ford as well because Rudy Ford is an incredibly good gunner, but Marcus Epps plays gunner. He plays on the kickoff coverage. Marcus Epps is a really good special teams player too. So I went with Marcus Epps because he also is another guy that plays a deep safety role. He's more of a free. And outside of Rodney McLeod, we you know what I mean? Like, we kind of need that guy. So I went 5 there at safety, basically carrying on Marcus Epps. Defensive backs, cornerbacks, I went 6. Darius Slay, Sidney Jones, Avonte Maddox, Nickel Roby-Coleman. Those are the 4 givens. Guys, this is a tough one. I said Cravon LeBlanc because Cravon LeBlanc plays more special teams. Okay? That's my 5th. My 6th guy might shock people, and I could be completely wrong here. But my 6th guy is Craig James, and I'll tell you why. Craig James is a gunner. Craig James is a much better special teams contributor. I love Sidney Jones. I would have loved to keep Sidney Jones on this roster. Well, I did keep Sidney Jones on the roster. So this still gives me Sidney Jones, guys. It's because I would have had Darius Slay, Sidney Jones, Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas, Nickel Roby-Coleman, and Cravon LeBlanc. So no, let me change that. Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Nickel Roby-Coleman, Cravon LeBlanc would be my 4th guy. Rasul Douglas would be my 5th guy. Craig James would be my 6th guy. It came down to me choosing, like, you guys can see this, choosing between Craig James and Sidney Jones, and I couldn't get this one wrong. I might be wrong here, but I'm going Craig James because of special teams production. That leaves us with defensive tackles. I said 4. I get the argument for 5 because we had an injury with Javon Hargrave, but we also got defensive ends that can bounce inside. And you got guys like Vinny Curry can bounce inside, BG can bounce inside. And then you got guys like, that can step up like Josh Sweat and play that defensive end role. All right? So I'm going to go 4 there. My 4 are Javon Hargraves, Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Hassan Ridgeway. The last 3 remaining spots on my, roster, kicker, punter, long snapper. Right? We all know the names there. That's my 53. That's the way I see this, guys. And I'll give you to them one more time. Wentz, Sudfeld, Hurts, Sanders, Scott, Clement, Holyfield. I already got the Holyfield wrong. Djax, JJ, Greg Ward Jr., Jalen Reagor, John Hightower, Quez Watkins, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Matt Pryor, Isaac Suamalu, Jason Kelsey, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Prince Tega, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, Vinny Curry, Joe Osman, Casey Toohill, Nate Gary, TJ Edwards, Duke Riley, Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor, Rodney McLeod, Jalen Mills, Will Parks, Kevon Wallace, and then Marcus Epps. Darius Slay, Sidney Jones. I'm sorry, not Sidney Jones. I'm sorry, guys, because I kept going back and forth, so I kind of had them both penciled in. Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas, Nickel Roby-Coleman, Cravon LeBlanc, Craig James. Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Hassan Ridgeway. That's my 53 with your punter, your kicker, your long snapper. All right, y'all. Let me know your thoughts down below. I will see y'all tomorrow at the live. We'll see what happens, guys. I'm not claiming to be right here. I'm just trying to guess from special teams production, things like that, versatility of the players, where I would put people. Look, Alex Singleton scares me because I could definitely make a case for him being on the roster. The Sidney Jones thing scares me because I'm not fully convinced they're going to give up on a second-round pick yet. But I just think that when you look at, like, Craig James and, like, look, maybe I'm wrong on the 5th safety. Maybe the Eagles feel that they'll be fine with 3 safeties. I doubt it, but there's a lot of chances for me to be wrong here, and I was already wrong on Holyfield. So, you know what can I say? All right, y'all. Let me piece up out of here. You know we end these videos. We do a little E-A-G-L-E-S. All right, y'all. Let's go, Eagles.